Hey folks, the tone of a lot of the content you're going to see this week is going to be different. As I'm sure almost all of you have heard by now, the safety for the Bills, Damar Hamlin, made a tackle on Monday Night Football, took a hit to his chest, and went into cardiac arrest. CPR was performed for over 9 minutes on the field. He was able to regain a pulse and was transported to a local hospital where at the time of the production of this video, he remains in critical but stable condition. And of course, it's moments like these that remind us what the truly important things are in life. And in fact, the players decided not to continue playing that game. We're also reminded that these players are not just here for our entertainment. They're real people, real human beings, and they deserve the respect of their fellow man. And it is in that spirit that we humbly and respectfully move forward with the presentation of this video. '49ers Raiders. New city, same old rivalry. So throw out the record books because both teams went all out for this one, and this game became an instant classic. Welcome to Josh's Football Breakdowns, where we don't tell you what you're seeing, we let the film tell us what we're seeing. And what we saw on Sunday was a 49er defense that was having a bit of a flat day, to say the least. They were hit by a locker room bug and seemed to tire a little bit throughout the game. They also indicated afterwards that they may have underestimated Jarrett Stidham, and they were unusually aggressive at times, and Josh McDaniels was prepared for that, and he started the game off right away calling plays to take advantage of the 49ers' aggression. Here you can see Jarrett Stidham holding out the ball. Josh McDaniels hits the 49ers with the run fake on the first play of the game. And it's effective, drawing in Dre Greenlaw. When Mac Hollins goes deep, Diamador Lenore has to go with him, leaving nobody left to cover the tight end, Foster Moreau. Here it looks like the pass rush for the 49ers has won. But once again, this is just the Raiders taking advantage of San Francisco's aggression. You can see Josh Jacobs here with blockers out in front because Josh McDaniels has hit San Francisco with the screen pass. And finally, Josh McDaniels hits the 49ers with the run fake again, sucking in almost the entire 49ers defense and leaving Talanoa Hufanga absolutely mesmerized by the backfield action, leaving nobody to cover the extremely dangerous Darren Waller. The score puts the Raiders up 7-0, and they challenge the 49ers to respond, which they did. Shanahan, for his part, goes to his bread and butter, a Christian McCaffrey run. Spencer Burford and Jake Brendel seal to the inside, and on the outside, the 49ers completely have a numbers advantage in terms of blockers. The Raiders do try to defend the play, but Christian McCaffrey uses his outstanding vision and says, No problem, I'll just take the cutback lane. Later on, Christian McCaffrey explodes through the hole and takes it all the way down and just gets stopped short of scoring a touchdown. Let's go back to the snap. The 49ers pull the guard, Aaron Banks, to take care of the defensive end, freeing up George Kittle to come over and pick off the linebacker. And what's interesting is when Trevon Moehrig sees Kittle going, he goes with him, taking himself out of the play. Great play by For Hamlin to get a hand on Christian McCaffrey, saving a touchdown for the Raiders. It reminded me a lot of this play by Earl Thomas back in 2012, saving a Frank Gore touchdown. But the 49ers would punch it in anyway. They start off by putting Ray McCloud in motion, causing this defender to slide. And when they fake the handoff to Jordan Mason, it causes the defender to move again, opening up the middle of the field for Brandon Aiyuk. And just like that, the game is tied at 7 apiece. And what you have just seen is a masterclass in offensive play design and play calling by both Josh McDaniels and Kyle Shanahan, something we would be treated to for this entire game. Josh McDaniels and the Raiders go right back to work, putting both Foster Moreau and the dangerous Davante Adams into the area of Fred Warner. And I'm sure Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw would probably say maybe they could have worked together a little bit better on this play. It's also worth noting that Talanoa Hufanga, as the last line of defense, has no choice but to give Davante Adams a lot of space on this play, and the obvious fact is that Davante Adams is running away from him. And Jarrett Stidham is executing confidently in this McDaniels offense, slinging the rock. The Raiders would march right down the field, but the 49er defense would ultimately stand tall at the goal line, and Josh McDaniels would opt to kick the field goal here, making the score Raiders 10, 49ers 7. Now, after the game, my emotional reaction was to be very upset with some of the officials, but the 49ers go on a drive here that's actually aided by a lot of penalties. Here we can see George Kittle is being interfered with, and the flag comes out for pass interference. On the very next play, we can see this time it's Brandon Aiyuk being interfered with, and the flag comes out for interference again. The 49ers make their way down to the goal line, and for the first time in this game, we get to see some more of that Brock Purdy magic that we've become used to. He starts out looking to his right and sees that everybody's covered. So he buys some time by rolling out to his left, but keeps his eyes downfield and almost immediately spots George Kittle coming wide open in the back of the end zone. The fans are treated to yet another thrilling Purdy to Kittle connection, and just like that, the 49ers take the lead on the Raiders, 14-10, and we've got a shootout. Now, you may not have noticed on that last drive, but the teams have already switched sides of the field. We're already in the second quarter. We're moving fast early here because there's a lot of plays I want to show you guys in this game. Josh McDaniels and the Raiders go right back to their dangerous weapon, Darren Waller. And as soon as he gets past the linebacker, Dre Greenlaw, he looks for the football. With Stidham continuing to sling the rock, the 49ers send a blitz. With Azeez Al-Shaair going to the outside, Drake Jackson rushes to the inside. And because they've sent a blitz, the 49ers defensive backs play this pretty safe. They hang back to cover all those Raiders receivers downfield, opening up a lot of space for Jarrett Stidham to scramble. Fred Warner very fortunate he didn't get flagged for hitting the quarterback at the end of that play. Remember, they've changed the rule. Once the quarterback starts to go down, he gives himself up. You no longer have to two-hand tag him. Stidham was surprisingly mobile in this game, and he would burn the 49ers a number of times with his legs. In fact, it looks like he's got a free path to the end zone here, but here we see something that 49er fans have gotten used to seeing over the years. Dre Greenlaw making a key saving play down on the goal line. The play is stopped short of a first down, but this time Josh McDaniels decides he's going to go for it on fourth down, and the play is stuffed for no gain. 49ers get the football. Let's go back to the snap. Here we can see it's Eric Armstead that was an absolute hero on this play, shedding Colton Miller. Then making quick work of the fullback Johnson, and then making the tackle on Josh Jacobs. Now, one thing about stopping a team on the goal line like that is you yourself are backed up, and you have to be very aware not to take a sack or a penalty in the end zone, which would be a safety. For the purposes of this play, we're going to illustrate the edge of the tackle box because Brock Purdy is going to have to throw this ball away, which you're allowed to do if you're outside the tackle box. Here we can see the line runs right through the middle of the E in Vegas. Faced with pressure, Brock Purdy does the prudent thing and runs to that spot and then throws the ball away. Was he technically outside? Well, it may surprise you to learn that in the NFL, it doesn't matter. As long as you get close to that line, the officials give you a lot of leeway. Remember, this is a quarterback-friendly league, and also a league that really likes to protect its players. And to show another example of this, we're going to go back to 2020 and take a look at a play where Kyler Murray threw the ball away. Once again, you can see where the edge of that tackle. This has been officiated very consistently over the past several years. My point in going on and on about this is yet another example of Brock Purdy demonstrating great awareness and playing smart heads-up football. Very impressive for a rookie. Unfortunately, it is an incomplete pass, so the 49ers are going to have to punt deep from their own end zone, and the Raiders get excellent field position here to close out the half. With just 52 seconds to go before halftime, the Raiders send their receivers deep, forcing the 49er defensive backs to go with them, opening up a lot of space for Hunter Renfrow, who makes a great move on Jimmy Ward and then goes to the sideline. And finally, Jarrett Stidham sees that he has Davante Adams one-on-one against Mooney Ward at the bottom. Now, even against a corner as good as Mooney Ward, you're going to feel pretty confident about throwing up a 50-50 ball to a player like Davante Adams. And he makes a spectacular catch, and it's a touchdown for the Raiders. And they go into the half with the lead, 17-14. Let's move ahead to the third quarter. I thought the 49er defense would slowly but surely start to play a little bit better in the second half. And here you can see the Raiders are facing 3rd and long. They've got to get all the way to the 26-yard line to get a first down. They go back to Hunter Renfrow. And you can see Fred Warner right there, but even if he doesn't make the tackle, the 49er defense is going to be in great position to rally and stop Renfrow well before he gets to that first down. But here, I think Fred Warner tries to do too much. He sticks out his hand and grabs Renfrow by the face mask, and that would be a 15-yard personal foul penalty against the 49ers. So the drive continues, and the 49ers play pretty good on the back end. All the receivers for the Raiders are covered. So once again, Stidham decides to scramble. But this time he doesn't scramble for yardage. He scrambles looking to throw. And here, Davante Adams does something we've seen some of the 49er receivers do in recent games. When he sees his quarterback scrambling, he goes deep. Here, Dre Greenlaw gets a little excited and takes a step forward, allowing Adams to get behind him. Now, Fred Warner comes over to cover him, but he also allows Adams to get behind him. And in the face of tremendous pressure, Jarrett Stidham gets Davante Adams the football, and it's a 60-yard touchdown for the Raiders. Now, from this angle, we see one of the things that upset me about the officiating, a pretty clear and obvious hold against Samson Ebukam. Despite looking right at it, somehow the officials seem to have missed it. Now, there's a penalty on the 49ers too, but this should have been offsetting, and this play should not have counted. Of course, it did count, and it puts the Raiders up 10 points early in the third quarter, 24-14. One thing fans and commentators alike have observed is that Brock Purdy still has yet to face a situation where he is down multiple scores in the second half of a ball game. Well, be careful what you wish for, because here we have that exact scenario. And here we can see the Raider defense is a little bit confused to start this play. The 49er offense by rule does not have to wait for them, and Brock Purdy hikes the ball. Juwan Jennings sits up at the 40-yard line, and Brock Purdy is on it. From this angle, we get a great look at Mike McGlinchey with some excellent pass protection against one of the best pass rushers in the NFL, Max Crosby. And in the second half, I thought Shanahan really started to get in his bag. Here we see Kyle Juszczyk coming in motion on an apparent block for Ty Davis-Price. But on a play we've looked at many times on this channel before, he spins around and the 49ers get the ball to Brandon Aiyuk on the reverse. Now that was a huge play, and from this angle we get a great look at how hard it is for the defense to defend against a well-timed reverse call. Christian McCaffrey caps off this drive, making his way to pay dirt and putting the 49ers right back in this ballgame. Tyler Kroft fires into the second level, and the 49ers pull the guard Spencer Burford to block the defensive end. And this allows Mike McGlinchey to block the defensive tackle, and this ends up being the key block that Kyle Juszczyk and Christian McCaffrey would run behind. The 49ers pulled to within 3, trailing the Raiders 24-21. and the 49ers would get the ball back. With Brandon Aiyuk going deep on the play, the safety provides help, and with the running back Ty Davis Price underneath, the linebacker is occupied with him, allowing Jauan Jennings to come wide open in the middle there. And does this play look familiar? It should. The Raiders ran a similar play in the first quarter. And Brock Purdy gets Jauan Jennings the football on a rope. What a great throw. What do you need to throw the ball deep? Time. And once again, just take a look at the pass protection from Mike McGlinchey. McGlinchey's pass protection has been getting better and better with each passing week, and he dominated Max Crosby in this game. Sensing that the Raiders are reeling a little bit, Shanahan goes for the kill, calling for the tight end throwback to George Kittle, and you can see he is wide open. Now there is a defender there, Amik Robertson, who's trying to recover, but it's already too late. If Purdy puts this ball out in front, this is a touchdown. The problem is Kittle is so wide open on this play. Brock Purdy said he never saw Robertson there, and he tried to lay up an easy ball for Kittle to catch. Understandable, but it allows Robertson that time to recover, and he intercepts the football. Wow, what a huge play for the Raiders. The Raiders go back to their tight end, Darren Waller, and Stidham drops this pass nicely in the bucket. All right, we're in the fourth quarter now, so the teams have switched sides, but the Raiders still have the ball and a 3-point lead. But the 49er defense would continue to turn up the heat, and this drive ends thanks to back-to-back plays by Kerry Hyder. On this play, he gets great pressure to the inside, affecting the throw of Jarrett Stidham and causing the incompletion. On the very next play, he's unable to get to the quarterback. And what do you do if you can't get to the quarterback? You stick your hands up. You might be able to tip that ball up into the air. And that's exactly what happens. And Drake Jackson comes down with the interception. Wow, a huge play for the 49er defense. Both quarterbacks have now thrown an interception, and the 49ers are threatening. Here, Jauan Jennings comes wide open down the sideline, and again, if Brock Purdy puts this ball out in front of him, this is a touchdown. But Purdy doesn't put enough on this football, and the pass ends up being broken up, incomplete. Now, this isn't an arm strength issue. Brock Purdy just has to make a better throw here. So in the end, the 49ers are forced to settle for a Robbie Gould field goal attempt, but he knocks it through, tying the game at 24 apiece with about 11 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Once again, the Niners would also get a stop on defense, giving the ball back to their offense, and perhaps knowing that the Raiders would really need to defend aggressively now, Shanahan hits them with the run fake. It does draw in the defense, and Ray McCloud is completely uncovered. And check out who that is sneaking out of the backfield. No, that's not a tight end. That's Trent Williams. "42 yards on the catch and run, and Ray McCloud is becoming a huge part of this football team." Wanting to punch this thing in, Brock Purdy starts off by looking off the defense and then coming back to George Kittle. But here Tyler Hall makes a great play to break up the pass. Let's go back to the snap and see if we can find out what happened. Here we get a great look at Purdy looking to his left and then resetting his feet and coming back to Kittle. And once his back foot hits, this ball has to come out right now. But watch his feet as he takes an extra step, and that's all it takes in the NFL. This ball is late and the pass is incomplete. And to be fair, this is something that does take rookies some time to learn. It is hard for rookies to get this down. In fact, we looked at a play earlier this season where Trey Lance did this. So once again, the 49ers are forced to settle for a Robbie Gould field goal attempt. And once again, he punches it through, and this time it gives the 49ers the lead in the fourth quarter. They've come all the way back and lead it 27-24. The Raiders would respond. And here it's McDaniels once again hitting the 49ers with the run fake. And we see something a little bit unusual here. We see them blocking Nick Bosa with a tight end. Now, we've discussed plenty of times before on this channel what a bad idea that is, but you can see the tackle is right there behind him, ready to help out. And this is by design. When Deommodore Lenoir bites on the run fake, it allows the tight end to run free down the field. Stidham gets the football to Foster Moreau, and the Raiders are off to a great start on this drive. Ultimately, the drive would stall, so with about 4 minutes left in the game, the Raiders are going to try a field goal attempt. But look how far away they are. This is a long one. But here you can see, before the ball is even going through, the Raiders players are celebrating because their kicker just made a great kick, and this game once again is tied at 27 apiece. The Raiders decide it's time to turn up the heat on Brock Purdy, and they send Harvey Lange on the blitz. And he's going to come free to Brock Purdy. Purdy has only one place to go with the football, and it's to Christian McCaffrey, but Lange is in the throwing lane. Purdy knows that he cannot and should not attempt this pass, but once again, he makes a great move to get free and throw this football away. Great play by Brock Purdy. Now the play does result in an incomplete pass, so the Raiders decide to send another blitz. But check out this pass protection for the 49ers. They even left Christian McCaffrey in to help block, but he doesn't even need to do anything. And when Brock Purdy makes his read to Brandon Aiyuk, he sees that Amik Robertson is playing an outside technique. And because the Raiders sent a blitz, they don't have enough players to defend the middle of the field, and this is a big play for the 49ers. What a pass. And here we get to what is, in my experience, one of the best plays I've ever seen from a running back. First and foremost, the Raiders triple down and send a 6-man blitz. The problem for the Raiders is that Shanahan has just made the perfectly timed call of the screen pass. They could be in big trouble if the 49ers hit this thing. But look at that pressure. Duron Harmon is coming free right up the middle at Brock Purdy. How's he even going to get this ball to Christian McCaffrey? Well, Purdy and McCaffrey are special players. And then Christian McCaffrey does something remarkable. You can see that there's only one defender left, but McCaffrey's blockers are too far away. At this point, I'm screaming at my TV, just go, just go. Take that space to the outside. Maybe try to make a move on Teamer. You would think that if he wanted to utilize his blockers, he would go to the inside. But McCaffrey is so good, he widens the play, waits for his blockers, and he gives himself that extra space to make this a truly special play. Get off me. 38-yard gain on a play that only Christian McCaffrey could make. Now, after a long play like that, running backs typically do come out of the game for a breather. So here it's Jordan Mason in the backfield. And Mason looks like a seasoned veteran on this play, patiently waiting for his offensive line to set up their blocks, and then just patiently following Kyle Juszczyk through the hole and making his way all the way into the end zone for a touchdown. And look how excited he is. It's his first ever touchdown in the NFL. Congratulations to Jordan Mason. Now, unfortunately, Aaron Banks was injured in this game, so Dan Brunskill is the one who has to come in and play left guard. And how did he do? Pretty good. Watch his blocking on this play. With just 2 minutes and 17 seconds left to play, the 49ers take the lead 34-27, and I thought that would be good enough for them to win right there. I didn't think the Raiders would be able to go down and score a touchdown against the #1 defense in the NFL, but some strange things happened on this drive. Here we can see Deommodore Lenoir is giving Davante Adams a lot of space. He knows that the 49ers have the lead. He's not going to give up a long touchdown behind him to allow the Raiders to tie the game. So when the Raiders decide to take a deep shot to Adams anyway, Lenoir's in pretty good position, but Adams somehow comes down with the catch. What an unbelievable player Davante Adams is. Now, having said that, Davante Adams may have trapped this ball underneath him to assist him in making the catch. The officials don't really have a clear view of it. They're behind. And there wasn't a clear camera angle of this either. So the play stands as called on the field as a catch. And by rule, that's the correct decision. After the 45-yard completion to Davante Adams, the Raiders go back to Darren Waller. And you can see Fred Warner here playing good physical coverage on Waller, but the officials ruled that Fred Warner cut off Waller's route, and the flags come out for pass interference. I think it's a really tough call, but an accurate one. You can see the 49ers are very upset after the play, but it is consistent with the pass interference they ruled on George Kittle in the first half. With the Raiders set up at the goal line, they punch it in with Josh Jacobs, and this game is tied at 34 apiece with just 1 minute and 11 seconds to go. What a game this is. Brock Purdy has just 71 seconds to drive the 49ers down into field goal range. And the design of the play is this. The 49ers send a receiver deep, and when the safety goes with him, that will allow Brandon Aiyuk to come open over the middle of the field. But I think Brock Purdy throws this ball early, allowing the safety to get a jump on the football. And you can see that ball was nowhere near Brandon Aiyuk. The timing of the play was clearly off. Brock Purdy has missed some throws in this game, but great players aren't always great. They're just great when they have to be. The Raiders go back into a zone, and the 49ers exploit this by running 2 players into the area of 1 defender. He has to choose who he's going to defend, and Brock Purdy gets the football to the open man. Here, Brock Purdy has to run the no-huddle offense, so when he sees Brandon Aiyuk matched up one-on-one to the outside, he gives him the hand signal. And Purdy throws a dart. Look at the location of that throw. Understandably, the Raiders start to get a little gun-shy on defense, and check out Nate Hobbs starting to back out. And Brandon Aiyuk says, "Fine, you want to give me all that space? I'll just take it." Brandon Aiyuk and Brock Purdy are scorching the Raiders on this drive. And once again, just look at the location of this throw. With just 27 seconds left, Shanahan goes for the jugular. He calls for the run fake, and it completely fools the Raiders, allowing George Kittle to come wide open. Now, as part of the design of the play, Dan Brunskill is going to have to come over and block the defensive end. But when Spencer Burford gets pushed back, the two of them collide and Brunskill is unable to make the block. Purdy sees he has Kittle wide open for a touchdown, but Lange hits Purdy right as he throws. The ball flutters up in the air, but who else? Brandon Aiyuk comes down with the biggest catch of the ball game, and the 49ers are in field goal range. Brock Purdy has just led the San Francisco 49ers down on a game-winning drive. Robbie Gould comes out to do his thing and hand the 49ers the victory as time expires, and he misses the field goal. This titanic struggle of a game would continue into overtime. But once again, it's the defense that makes a huge play late for the 49ers. Nick Bosa has no sacks on the day, but the presumptive defensive player of the year makes arguably the biggest play of the game, pushing Colton Miller into Jarrett Stidham, causing his pass to flutter up. And how good of a play was that? You can see Nick Bosa celebrating before Tashaun Gipson even has a chance to intercept this football. The 49ers just have so much talent at every position. They're almost impossible to beat, even when they're having an off day. The huge return sets up Robbie Gould for an opportunity to redeem himself. And Gould would do just that, and you can see how fired up he is. He's just handed the 49ers their 9th consecutive win, and San Francisco moves into the 2 seed in the playoffs. Well, what a game for the San Francisco 49ers. Just an incredible matchup. I think the game everybody hoped for against the Raiders. That game was so fun to watch. We just hoped it could last forever, and it kind of felt like it did when it went into overtime. And of course, this game answered a lot of questions about Brock Purdy. Could he deliver in the clutch when it mattered? Now, he did miss some plays, and we took a look at those. And of course, Shanahan mentioned that in his press conference too after the game. But Kyle Shanahan said something really interesting after that. And it's a sentiment I kind of agree with. He said, honestly, with those throws, I'm kind of nitpicking a little bit. Brock Purdy was great. And he said, I've gotten used to him being great. And so I'm going to be critical of him on some of those throws now. It just really struck me. When have you ever heard a coach gush about his players like that? Could you imagine, Bill Belichick, for example, saying something like that? It just, for me, was a remarkable statement, but I kind of agree with it. We took a look at some negative plays, but Brock Purdy was and continues to be great. The legend grows. Other standout players on offense, of course, Brandon Aiyuk absolutely dominated at the end of that game. George Kittle, of course, scoring another touchdown. But the MVP of this offense might just have to be Christian McCaffrey this year. Another phenomenal game for him, and he just flies under the radar while he does it. It's just amazing. Jordan Mason with his first ever NFL touchdown. And Juwan Jennings had some big catches in the game too. Nice to see Chains bounce back after last week. And there's one more player on offense that we just cannot forget about, and that has to be Mike McGlinchey. Mike McGlinchey hasn't given up a sack in several weeks. The chemistry between him and Brock Purdy seems to be really good, and he had a couple of penalties last week that we took a look at, but you know what? He has been playing better and better and better every single week. It's kind of like Kyle Shanahan's play calling. I thought this was his best called game of the season, and we said that 2 or 3 times already this year. The 49er offense is looking really sharp heading into the playoffs, and that is a great sign. On the defensive side of the ball, they had some struggles at times, but they came up when it mattered most. Nick Bosa delivering the play of the game once again, hopefully cementing his Defensive Player of the Year status, hitting Jarrett Stidham and causing that ball to flutter up. And then Tashawn Gipson, of course, had to complete the play. He makes the catch and delivers the huge return, and Robbie Gould redeems himself. What a game for the San Francisco 49ers. All right, folks, going to keep it real short because there were just so many great plays to look at in this game. I want to thank all my new subscribers. And of course, for those of you who have gone the extra mile to help support this channel, I want to thank you every single week, of course, because you guys humble me every week. You honor me every week. Every week, I'm just blown away by your generosity. Thank you so much. We're going to do something a little bit different this week. In the description of this video, I have replaced the PayPal link with a link to Damar Hamlin's charity. It's raised millions of dollars over the last few days, and this is going to allow the charity to have a big impact on the lives of children for years to come. It's a great thing. Several prominent NFL players, and including 49er players, have donated to this charity as well. And even one 49er fan made a rather sizable donation. I want to thank Dave Cahill for pointing that one out to me personally. All right, folks. It's going to be Niners and Cardinals to finish out the season next week. The Niners need to win to maintain their 2 seed and have a shot at the number 1 seed. I think, though, they're probably going to rest some players too. It'll be a little bit tricky. It's going to be an interesting game. And of course, no matter what happens, we're going to break down that film after that game and preview the 49ers playoff opponent, whoever that's going to end up being. And I will see you guys then.